right, good evening, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a regular Bullhead City Council meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. It's now 5:30 in the afternoon. I'm calling this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
4 council members are present in the council chambers and 3 council members are participating on the telephone. Vice Mayor Wegman, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Councilmember D'Amico.
Yes, thank you.
Councilmember Schatz.
Yes.
Okay, we can hear all 3 of you. We also have staff members calling in. And staff members, when I call your name, please acknowledge that you're on the line. Chief Williamson.
It's okay.
Glenn Wiltsey.
Yes, I can.
Johnny Luera.
Yes, he's here.
Rudy Vera.
Yes, I'm here.
Angie Johnson.
Yes, I'm here.
Jeff Tipton.
Yes, I'm here.
City Attorney Garn Emery.
Yes.
We have
All
everyone.
right, ladies and gentlemen, you can see today is a little different of a council meeting. In today's day with the COVID-19 virus going around, you know, we're trying to separate people with 6 feet of separation, and we're trying not to hold big public meetings where we have more than 10 people gathering. So if you can pan around the room, you can see that our council chambers have been set up where there is 6 feet of separations from people in the audience. But we felt it was very important to hold this meeting today because we have some very important things to discuss. So we hope that you will bear with us. And Toby, you'll make the comment about, in a later date, about our upcoming city council meetings that will be canceled. So let's get rolling with this meeting. We're going to start with an invocation. We have Pastor Roy Hegemeyer here from the Way Christian Church who will lead us in invocation, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Pastor Hegemeyer.
Good afternoon. I would like to start with a piece of scripture from Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Heavenly Father, we pray this afternoon that as we have this council meeting, Lord, that you would be with all of the council members, be with the mayor, be with all of the staff. Lord, that you would take the fear away from all of us. Lord, we have nothing to fear because we know that you are in charge. Lord, I pray for peace and I pray for calm. And Lord, I pray that common sense would rule within our community. We ask for wisdom, godly wisdom for each and every one of these leaders as they make plans and do the things to protect us, the community. Lord, we pray for a quick end to this virus. We pray that you would prevail in all that goes on in our lives. And we ask this in the powerful name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. If you'll join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat. We're going to open it up to call to the public, and this would be the time if anybody has anything they would like to say on things that are not on the agenda. Please be aware that we have a staff member who is going to wipe down the microphone and the podium after everybody speaks, so it's going to be a short little bit of a delay when that happens. So let's
Mayor
open
Brady,
it up.
our staff member was just opening that door, so if we could wait 1 second, he's coming in right now. So Christian will be doing that after each speaker. He'll be wiping down the microphone and podium area after every speaker.
And the doors to the council chamber are fully open, so no one has to touch a door handle. All right, call to the public. Is there anybody who would like to address council on things that are not on the agenda? Eva.
Eva Corbett, Bullhead City. I wanted to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. That's all.
Would anybody else like to address council?
Hold on 1 second. We need Christian back. That was very fast. He's just on door duty.
And it's not a
as
good
well.
idea to touch your neighbors, Royanne.
You're too close.
The microphone is yours, Royanne.
To the mayor and the council members and the staff that are here and not here. I can't resist making comments on what I saw when I walked in here. It's rather distressing. Can I touch this?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
I'm in the danger zone, so to speak. But I'm here. I'm not going to be kept in my home, not talking or seeing anybody or not touching them. It's ridiculous, especially when I've been doing research. And you know what? There are several treatments for this virus, and they've all been very effective. The problem is that they haven't gone through the testing. And there's a lot we don't know about this virus. We don't even know what the population is of infected people because there's no tests out there. And you try and find out, is Mojave Health got tests out there that we can take? No. I don't know whether I have it. You don't know whether you have it. They don't have tests. So none of us can go take a test, but we're preventing something we don't even know if we've got. I still have a minute. I'm really concerned about closing the schools. That was very upsetting to hear that on Sunday, because we have a lot of single parents here. Where are they going to get the money to pay for someone to watch their kids because they have to go to work, they have to earn a living? Are we going to come up with money to pay them so they don't go to work? I don't see employers doing that, and I don't see the federal government providing funds in time to help them. They could be evicted before they ever get any money to help them out. So I'm formally volunteering. If there's any single mother out there that needs somebody to watch their kids, I'd be happy to, if they're willing. And you can get my phone number. I'll put it on my page, on my Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, Mayor Brady, Council. My name is Jim Bradley. Been a citizen of Bullhead City for 33 years. First thing, I'd like to thank you all for passing the Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. That was a good start. But I'd like to make you aware, the Gun Owners of America and stuff has a sanctuary ordinance that they put out. I have copies for everybody if you'd like to take a look at it and read it and stuff. I believe it'd be something for the city to take a good look at and to adopt and stuff. It kind of puts some teeth into the resolution. The resolution kind of is a feel-good thing, but this kind of makes it enforceable, as opposed to just saying we think it's a good idea. So if anybody would like a copy, give them to you. Okay, I got some for all of you. Second of all, and stuff, in 2015, the council passed where they allowed weapons into the council chambers and stuff. I tried getting the same thing for all the city buildings, and I was basically told that that wasn't going to happen because some crazy person might come into one of the city buildings with a gun and shoot the place up. So I couldn't carry my own weapon in to defend myself. Whereas you allow weapons into this chamber when you have two well-armed police officers here to defend you. When I do business in the city, or if somebody comes for a job interview, or if they work in those places, you demand that they be defenseless. So if the person that you're telling me I can't carry my weapon with me comes in and does what you say they might do, I'll have a key to throw at them because I had to lock my gun up outside as a law-abiding citizen. So I'd like to ask you one more time and stuff to change the ruling on all the city buildings to be just like the chamber and allow law-abiding citizens to carry their legal weapons with them when they do business for the city. Also, I think that any of the city employees that were willing to should be able to carry on the job, because a lot of them are in a room with one entry, one exit. So if somebody was to come in and do what I was told they might do, which we know they do some places, and shoot the place up, they have no way to protect themselves, they have no way to escape. I know. Run, hide, and fight. Okay, that's what they tell you to do. Doesn't work too well. Unless you happen to be in a church where you have armed security and they take it out in 66 seconds. I guess I'm out of time. Thank you very much. Take a look at that if you would, please.
You didn't get it that dirty. Jeez. Elbows. There shouldn't have been anybody allowed in here tonight without taking their temperature. In court or anything like that. You know, when I go to the VA, the first thing they do is take my temperature. If they got a fever, they shouldn't be at this meeting. You need to make that a new requirement. Well, for a while anyway. You know, we're kind of changing things. I was listening to somebody on the TV today, and since I got nothing else to do, can't go anywhere. This toilet paper thing is something else. What a bunch of greedy bastards. Now, but somebody was telling me that these women that have babies, they have WIC. They can purchase WIC, like milk. You got WIC up there on the thing. And you got brand A and brand B. Buy the one that doesn't have the WIC, because if you wipe all that milk out in the WIC section, then that woman cannot buy milk for her children. So pick that brand over there. Now, if you're out of that, then buy that. But quit buying the WIC brand, if at all possible. I think you understand what I just said there? Okay. Martial law. I was in that thing there in LA in the early 90s, and it sucks. You don't want to do that to us. That was something else. At 6 o'clock at night, there wasn't one car on the road. And Sherman Way and Sepulveda Boulevard. Where was I? I was upstairs with my friends. We were on the third story balcony with our guns, waiting for the people to come over the hill and start burning our town. The martial law did end the riots and the burning. I have to admit that, it did work. But it sucks. Don't shut us down for 2 weeks. I don't know what you're going to do with this court over here, but just misdemeanor tickets. I guess you could quit getting tickets out. Except for speed zones in schools. You don't give those. This work you've been doing down there in front of Lazy Harry's that washed out, I'm madder than heck about that. I asked years ago for it to be done right, like put in French drains I know it rained a lot. I was in California, so I missed the rain. But I'm seeing what you did to the berm. That should have been put in the first time. And at least you put slurry underneath the cement pad. But that's still, we need some French drains like you got going down Hancock Road. I'm going to write that up, Toby, so, you know, it's a legal complaint. So.
Thank you, Scotty. Anyone else? Julie.
Good evening, Mayor Brady, council and staff. I'm Irish by marriage, so I'm going to share an Irish blessing with you for today. May you always be blessed with walls for the wind, a roof for the rain, a warm cup of tea by the fire, laughter to cheer you, those you love near you, and all that your heart might desire. I'm Julie Hassett. I'm president of Colorado River Concerts, and I'm here to share some information with you. We are all traveling in uncharted territory these days, and it seems like there are a lot more questions than answers. And the most important thing right now is the health and safety of everyone. So I am here to give you the answers that I do have at this point, and that is to share the information with you that we are postponing and rescheduling the last official concert of our Colorado River concert season, Savannah Jack, on April 7th. I'm working with the performers and our entertainment management company in Nashville for rescheduling when it is safe to do so. This also goes for the small classical piano concert by Alina Kiryayeva that was scheduled for March 24th. So there will be more information forthcoming. If we're allowed to come back at City Council meeting, I'll share it here, but it will also be on Facebook and by mail and by email to those season ticket holders. So thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next. Billy?
Billy Pershing, Bullhead City. I just wanted to comment on previous indication about taking a person's temperature to determine whether they have this virus. I heard on TV that 99.6 was an indicator that they were going to run further tests on a person in order to determine whether they had this virus. Myself, my normal body temperature is about 97.2. So, and I had an illness about 3 weeks ago, some kind of a flu or something like that. I was running 100.5, which would be equate to like 102 degrees for a person that was normal at 98.6. A person like me could go in there and be tested at and show like 99 when I'm actually 2 degrees over my normal temperature. I'm running a fever. So it seems like that kind of a standard really isn't a good indicator if you don't know what the person's normal body temperature is. It seems like they have to have maybe something a little better, or you could tell them what your normal body temperature is in order to alert them. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Billy. Would anybody else like to address council? All right, then I will close the call to the public. Let's move on. Agenda modifications?
Mr. Mayor,
I'd like to move item number 5 to right after the consent agenda to be replaced, or to be before item number 3.
Do I have a second on that? All right, all in favor of moving 5 to 3, say aye.
Aye.
Councilmember D'Amico, your vote?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wegman?
Aye.
Councilmember Schutz? No Councilmember Schutz. 6 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
All right. Waiver motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move we waive the reading in full of all ordinances and resolutions presented for adoption at this meeting.
Second.
We have a first and a second to waive the reading of all ordinance and resolutions. Please cast your vote.
Vice Mayor Wegman, your vote?
Yes.
Councilmember D'Amico?
Yes.
Councilmember Schatz? 6 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
Let's now hear from our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Brady, council members, and community. I'll go a little bit out of order from the agenda, so let's first talk about COVID-19. Later on the agenda, the City Council will hopefully be adopting a state of emergency here in Bullhead City. You can say what you want about it. We are not taking any chances. We have the most vulnerable county in America. It's not a joke. It's nothing to laugh about. We're shutting down city facilities. We're shutting down special events, not just because we think it's the right thing to do, because that's what health professionals are telling us to do. So on Sunday night, we announced the closure of the Senior Center and all of its associated activities. We shut down the Senior Nutrition Center, and we're modifying our food delivery services. We're going to be offering those on a drive-through basis. We're still delivering those meals to those that are stuck at home. Our city recreational leagues have all been canceled. All activities at the Suddenly Community Center have been suspended. The pool will be closed for at least 2 weeks. All tournaments and special events will be canceled through April. I'm recommending to the City Council that they cancel our 2 meetings in April, which could be extended into May. We may have to meet via the phone. If we do that, we'll schedule a public notice, and we'll probably use Facebook and the city website as a good means to share that information with you, so that you also can watch and participate in meetings that we have. Tonight is a different meeting. As you can see, people are 6 feet apart. The council doors are open. I've instructed all staff, except the ones that are absolutely necessary, to be here. You need our staff. If something happens, we cannot be in groups. So all of our non-essential staff, including Chief Williamson, who is essential, he leads our incident command, are not here this evening. When we put out this press release on Sunday, the CDC said no more groups of 50. They changed that yesterday to no more in a group of 10. After the country, their cities are closing down health clubs, bars, restaurants. We had a phone call, Mayor Brady and I did this afternoon with the governor's office. While they're not suggesting we shut down restaurants in Bullhead City and health clubs today, that certainly is on our horizon. Right now, restaurants and businesses need to do the same thing we did in this room. They need to separate people. It's not an overreaction. People are dying in America. 100 have died, thousands across the world. We don't want our seniors to face that same destiny. We got a little bit ahead of this. Some people have been critical of us for getting ahead of it. We hope come May and June, we'll look like we were really smart people. If we've overreacted, you can tell us that come May and June. Come to this podium and tell me that I overreacted. We'll keep communicating with all of you on Facebook, on social media. We are already working behind the scenes. There is a run on water and toilet paper and baby formula and diapers in this community right now. We're working with the food bank, the Legacy Foundation, some of the private partners that we have to see what we can do to help our residents, to help those in need the most. If you have resources, please think about donating them to the food banks, to our social service organizations that help the needy. Right now would be a good time to donate to the River Fund and to the United Way. The CDC yesterday issued the guidance, and they told us, state and local authorities, to let you all know this. If you are home, if you are sick, stay home. Do not go out. Contact your medical provider. If your children are sick, keep them home. Obviously, schools have been canceled through the end of next week, not this week, the end of next week. That could be extended based on what we're hearing from state and federal officials that we listen to. That could be extended. It's a very paramount issue for a lot of people, as was said at Call to the Public. If someone in your household does test positive for the virus, that entire household should remain at home. Do not go to work, do not go to school. If you're an older person, right now, it would be best to stay at home, especially if you have underlying health conditions. That's what we keep hearing. We keep hearing out of an abundance of caution, we should do these things. People in Seattle are panicking right now because of that abundance of caution. Practice good hygiene in our community. The city is doing everything we can in our buses, in our facilities, in our parks. Our parks people are spending half their time right now sanitizing and bleaching in our parks so that we can still allow people to use our parks. But we need to remind people to avoid social gatherings in groups of 10 or more. Some cities have stopped those groups from gathering. It was even suggested in a call we had with some very high-level people yesterday that people in those groups maybe in the future could face police control, like happened in New Orleans this weekend. So we hope we never get there. We hope that the steps we're taking right now with social distancing, with canceling meetings, with canceling events, not bringing people into town, that all of this makes a difference and Bullhead City can look back in a month or two and say we made the right decisions. The governor of Nevada is, what I'm seeing on Twitter and Instagram right now, is going to announce the closure of all casinos. So I believe that press conference is coming up at either 5 or 6, so it's either happening soon or it already has happened, but it's pretty much been said that it appears that at midnight tonight the casinos will all be closed. That's 8,000 Bullhead City residents that could be impacted by that decision. So it's not just a health decision. Certainly we're working with our hospital, Warmsey and Valley View, as they do everything they can to keep their employees safe. We're doing everything we can to keep our employees safe, our first responders safe. And we did that as early as last week. We saw this, we said no more public interactions unless we're called, unless it's an emergency. So we're going to keep doing everything we can do to keep our employees safe and to keep our community safe. And that means not just on the healthcare side. It means on the social service side. It means on the food side, on the water side. We've been working with folks all week, all weekend, on how can we get more water here, how can we get more toilet paper here. And part of tonight is declaring an emergency so that we can ask for help from the state and federal government. Don't be naive to the fact that we're not going to need this help. We will need the help. I think that's all I need to say about that. Again, we'll be communicating regularly, daily. We'll be making decisions for the health and safety of our residents. Again, what the governor's office is saying today is that you should stay home. You should avoid crowds. We do not want to shut down pharmacies and grocery stores. That will not be what Mayor Brady, the council members, and I want to do. However, Google this, read this. It is happening across the country right now, and it's all because they want to stop the spread. There is an abundance of medical expertise that's out there and being recommended from the White House on down that we need to, at least for the next 15 days, stop the spread of this virus. It's paramount that we all do what we can do, And that's what we're going to do from City Hall. I realize that's affecting everyone's life. Our parks are still open. The weather is beautiful. Go for a walk. Just don't have a party in our park. The guidance from the CDC for those that have underlying health conditions or those that are elderly is to stay home. Now, we also realize that some of those people who are staying home right now may not have resources to food and water and some of the things they need. So we'll be working with our Meals on Wheels program. We'll be working with our social service agencies to address all of those issues. And that's what we've started to do already. It's very important that anyone with children understand that Monday through Friday, between 8 and 10, the school district is giving out a free breakfast and a free lunch to any child that rolls up in a car or walks up to those food stands. Chief Williamson and I stopped at the one at the Bullhead Middle School today. They gave out 189, I believe that's the accurate number, over 150 meals just today. At one school, they're offering at River Valley High School, Diamondback, Fox Creek, and Sunrise, so I don't know their counts. So there are resources for people to get food, including the food bank on Hancock Road. However, this is going to be potentially an elongated process, and I'm going to need the help of Mayor Brady, our council members, and all of you, especially those of you with money who have money to donate to the River Fund and United Way. Mayor Brady, any comments? I know you've been on some calls as well on this.
No. As Toby said, we're doing everything we can and looking out for all the contingencies. With the casino shutting down, we know that there's going to be a lot of people in our community that are going to be hurting big time because they're not going to be able to afford the babysitting services for their children who aren't in school. They're not going to be able to pay their rents. And we're still waiting for the federal government to tell us how they will assist those people. And that's all being discussed, but they haven't come up with any final plans. But today, as one of our agenda items, we will be declaring an emergency declaration, and that will let us into the pipeline to get reimbursed for some of those things that we anticipate we will have to spend in our community. And that's one of the very important reasons why we are meeting here today when we could have easily canceled this meeting. So just be aware, this is serious. You know, I myself, I'm not fearful of what the virus might do to me. I'm healthy, it's not a problem. But my 99-year-old grandfather is visiting us today because he feels safer in our home than he does in the assisted living facility that he's in Central California. And I'm fearful that I might shake one of your hands, and I may never experience the virus myself, but I might pass it on to my father-in-law, somebody who is in one of those tenuous positions. So even though you may not think it's that we're all going overboard, just think about what would happen if we were like Italy, where it has just grown out of control and thousands of people are dying. So as Toby said, I think we're better off all trying to just be a little more cautious, and perhaps we're wrong, but I would hate to find out that we underreacted than overreacted. So let's keep our community safe and know that your city will be doing everything possible that we can to help you survive this coronavirus.
Thank you, Mayor Brady. And we'll certainly, as I said before, continue to update our community. So newspaper, Terry's here. The newspaper's been covering this since it started. We also use our city Facebook page, and we'll continue to use all the social media and all the other traditional media as this unfolds. And any official announcement about someone who has tested positive will come directly from the Mojave County Public Health Department. That's been clearly defined. If you read something on Facebook that says someone has it, if it's not from the Mojave County Public Health Department, do not trust it as it relates to the coronavirus. That being said, I'll move on to my next couple items. The census is also out there, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. We have a lot of bureaucrats saying that, well, it's a great time because everybody's at home. Well, in Bullhead City, not everyone has internet access. Not everybody is thinking about the impacts of the census right now. I personally have asked the U.S. government to delay it a year. I think it's the right thing to do. Mayor Brady and I talked to Senator Sinema's office. We asked for them to consider delaying the census. Local government is under enough pressure right now. Helping the U.S. government count people is not what's on our mind right now. So, that being said, if you are at home and you are able to fill out your census form, it's critical. We've been talking about it for a year of how important it was for us to get a complete and accurate count of our citizens, and now this is kind of throwing us for a loop. So please, if you haven't responded back to your census, you should already have received one piece of mail. Another one should be coming this week as well. You'll get one more next week, and then you'll get a hard copy in the mail after that. We'll know how many of our citizens have done that, and we're going to have to keep talking about the census as well, unless the federal government gives us a reprieve on that. We did hold a caddisfly update. Of course, the caddisflies are going to come. They're not going to care what our other issues are. And so Michael Cavallero, our pest abatement manager, met with the community here on March 4th to give an update on the caddisfly abatement program. It was attended by 45 residents, 4 out of the 5 pest abatement district board members, and our human services director, Jeff Tipton, were present. Essentially, they talked about the pest abatement statements of missions and what we're doing to challenge and take on the caddisfly. Residents asked very specific questions about the caddisfly biology, insect trapping methods, and the forecasted future of the caddisfly abatement. We'll certainly communicate more with all of you about that particular forum and what was discussed in great detail via our Facebook page and our website. But I can hopefully all of you folks on the river can rest assured that Michael is working diligently. He's studying the caddisfly like no one has ever studied this caddisfly before. They are going to pop again here in the next month or so when it gets warm, and we're just hoping that it's not as severe as it has been in the past because there's been more trout. The river levels have been lower, so hopefully we won't have the immense caddisfly problem that we've had in the past. Michael also intends on holding a community mosquito forum in late May or early June to update all of you on any of the mosquito issues here in the community. I promised an update on Corwin. These construction projects have not stopped. So at Corwin, starting on the 22nd, the permanent signage will be installed. That'll take just a couple days. The signal will be activated on the 31st of this month. The stop bars will be put in at the same time, and then just a few days later, all the permanent striping will be done. So the Corwin project will essentially be done around this Monday the 6th of April, and we'll be putting out a lot of advisories for folks who will be driving on the Corwin Highway 95 corridor. And then the Parkway project at the bridge for the new bridge has started. It started earlier this month. The city is constructing through a contract with McCormick Construction all the Arizona infrastructure to the river. We've talked to Clark County about the bidding process. They believe the bridge will be bid out this spring or early summer. They just have to get the final Bureau of Reclamation permit. They did get the U.S. Coast Guard permit. The actual bridge construction could take around 18 months. So that project is now underway. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you, City Manager. Let's move.
Hello?
Yeah, is that you, Annette?
Yes, it's Annette. I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
You asked for an extension for the census 2020 deadline. When will you have an answer?
Well, I think right now the federal government is saying that no census employees will be doing any outreach or work with local communities until April 13th. I'm just very concerned, and I think this is going to have to come from the president, that local government is just not well suited right now to help them with the census, because all the guidance we've been receiving for the past 6 months is, local government, you need to help us with the census. Well, unfortunately, we can't do that right now, and we can't have small neighborhood meetings and large community gatherings and do all the things the Census Bureau told us to do. So we need some relief from the federal government on this issue. All governments do. All local governments need that relief.
I'm just wondering how long it's going to take them to get back to us. Well, okay, my next question is, why is the river water so low?
The question on the river levels, so we've had some meetings with a Laughlin Chamber of Commerce subcommittee meeting on the river levels, and so we're working on that right now with this subcommittee, which includes Bullhead City business owners, the chambers on both sides. Essentially, it's a power issue, and I'd be happy to bring that up at a future council meeting and discuss it at length. It's a very long process. There's so much to it. Essentially, why it happened this particular last few weeks is just because of the rain. But primarily, the reason that water levels continue to be low during the day are a power delivery issue, and I think it'd be best if I do a thorough report on that at a future meeting.
I would agree.
Okay, yeah, I would appreciate that. I have had a couple of constituents reach out to me about that issue.
Thank you.
Anything more in that? All right, then let's move on. Mayor and council members' reports on current events. Anybody have anything that they would like to add? All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. Both of them are pretty routine. If there's no comments or questions to be made, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda items 1 and 2 as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please vote.
Vice Mayor Wegman, your vote?
Yes.
Councilmember D'Amico,
Yes.
your vote? Was that Councilwoman Schatz?
Yes.
Yes.
7 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
All right, we agreed that we would move item number 5 to item number 3. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing, revived behavioral health facility, conditional use permit U19-003. The City Council has full discretion to affirm the denial, grant the conditional permit, or take other action consistent with City Code authority.
City Manager Cotter.
Thank you, Mayor Brady. Council members, this item initially was denied. The conditional use permit was denied by the Planning and Zoning Commission, was brought back to the City Council in the form of a workshop and a tour. The council did tour the facility, came back to the council chambers, and discussed the proposed conditional use permit. And essentially what came out of that discussion was the following. The applicant had requested 120 beds. Through the discussion with council, it was agreed that that could be reduced to 90 beds, 16 of which would be for detox. Other comments came on the length. Originally, it was a 10-year agreement, and now it's essentially approximately a 6-year agreement, a 6-year conditional use permit. There were some smaller items that were also suggested but had an impact on the neighborhood, including having staff or contracted security on site in the evening hours. That was also added to the conditional use permit. Screening and more fencing built around the perimeter, that was also added and accepted. And so with those provisions, council members didn't vote on anything at that workshop, but gave their input onto to me so that the conditional use permit could be revised to have security, screening, less beds, less time. The applicant, Revive, has agreed primarily in the format of that at the workshop. We've since talked. I believe the applicant is still in agreement with the revisions, although she'll be able to speak for herself. Kristinat is here, and her team is here. I think some of her team may be calling in. I'm not sure. We'll find out that in a moment. So this is a facility off of Silver Creek Road in proximity to the hospital. This was a request that was brought to the city through our normal processes. We had a chance to tour it and see the facility, look at the internal and external of the property, and that's what leads us here to this discussion right now. Our city attorney, Garm Emery, is on the phone. Garn, do you have any other comments before we hear from the applicant?
Garn, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I have nothing further at this time.
All right, then let's turn it over to Kristen. You want to come on up?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members. I'm Kristen Ott, the CEO for Revive Behavioral Health, and I appreciate your time again here tonight.
1 second, Kristen. Can you all hear her in the back? Okay, go ahead.
Due to the COVID-19, I know public safety and response is a very important topic on the agenda tonight. With that said, I'd like to begin by saying that in our organization's efforts to prevent the spread of infection with the COVID-19 epidemic, we've purposely limited the amount of individuals from our team that we've brought here tonight. We have also purposely reached out to all of our supporters of Revive and cordially asked them not to physically attend this meeting, again in our efforts to assist in preventing the spread of infection, as public safety is our #1 priority. In regards to our agenda item, Revive Behavioral Health is here tonight asking for approval of a conditional use permit to operate this behavioral health residential facility located at 2150 Silver Creek Road here in Bullhead City. We are here for an important reason. We are here because the mass majority of individuals of this community and our county are having to leave the county in order to get assistance for substance abuse treatment, due to the limited beds here in the county providing detox and residential services. This problem negatively affects the city and the county as a whole. Members of our community are wanting to recover. They are asking for additional services here locally. Not having enough resources for substance abuse treatment here locally is putting an extra financial burden on these patients' families, due to having to travel and hotel costs they are paying for out of area when visiting and supporting their loved ones due to recovery. The opioid problem we have here in Mojave County is not a secret. Statistically, Mojave County has more opioids than Maricopa County. So truly comparing the amount of residential beds versus overall population is not a true comparison and not truly comparing apples to apples. It is also not a secret that Bullhead City is in the middle of suing pharmaceutical companies due to damage done to the community due to this opioid epidemic. Having a behavioral health residential facility offering detox, residential, and eventually outpatient services would provide a full spectrum of care and will bring value to the community, as we are here to assist those struggling daily with these addictions. This behavioral health residential facility will also bring additional jobs and economic development to the area, all that bring value to the community. We want to be an asset for the community, and we want to partner with organizations for the better good of the community. Even though Revive Behavioral Health is newly organized, my organization has a successful track of providing healthcare services in the county for the past 22 years. We are now just asking to expand upon those services. The City Council has heard our presentations and has toured our facility. Revive has participated in the workshop. Together, we have worked through the city's requests, and Revive is open to accepting the city's requests. Revive Behavioral Health is requesting the conditional use permit start once Revive is licensed and open for business. We are estimating this to be approximately August 1st, 2020, by the time we can get our Department of Health Service licensure and our access licensure. Therefore, we would like to request the conditional use permit coincide with that estimated opening date with a maturity of August 1st, 2026. This would give Revive 6 full years for our organization to operate as a business under the conditional use permit. Thank you for your time. I've purposely left our presentation short, and I'm here to answer any further questions that you have tonight.
Do any council members have questions?
Mr. Mayor, I have one question. The lease that you have a 6-year lease on the building, as I understand?
Correct.
And what is the time frame for that lease? When does it start?
It actually goes through December 31st, 2026. That would be ideal for our organization. If not possible, we were trying to work with the individual with the lease to see if we could work around that date.
And Councilmember Clark, that is the date that's in this CUP under number 23, page 5. It actually says the conditional use permit shall be granted until July 31st, 2026. So when we say 6 years, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, right? Because it's just a little bit more than that.
And that's what you asked for. You said August 1st, this is July 31st, same date.
Yeah, we can accommodate that after conversation with the leaseor.
All right. Any other questions of council?
Mr. Mayor, Annette here. I do have a question. Hi, Kristen.
Go ahead.
So when you open the facility, the detox beds will not be available, correct?
That's correct.
So when will they be available?
So originally, when we have to get licensed, which approximately, if everything goes smoothly, can take up to 3 to 4 months, we're really at the mercy of the state when we have to prepare the building for inspection. We have to pass that inspection. On average, that could take up to 3 to 4 months, and then get everything approved through access. That would be for residential beds only. So at that point, we would be 90 residential beds. We would then continue through the JCO licensing, and once we receive that approval and have the staff for the detox beds, then we would open up the 16 detox beds, and that would then reduce the amount of residential beds.
Okay, thank you. I mean, we all know that there is a need for this facility in our community, and I thank you for your time and educating us, the council members. With that being said, I will be voting yes for this project to pass.
Thank you.
Any other council members have comments or questions? All right, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
I have one question.
One more.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but are you going to have any living sober facilities around that area, around that building?
So when we originally started this project, we have 2 additional acres on the west side of the facility that we've never developed. So our plan is to go in there and continue to assess the community's needs and take that time to see if sober living is what the need is in the community. And if that is the case, we would be coming back again and updating the conditional use to request for sober living on that portion.
So could you explain to me and everyone that's listening exactly what is a sober living community?
With the sober living, once they go through the recovery process, the residential, a lot of times, which we've discussed before, sometimes they don't have a place to go. And that can get tricky when there's lack of resources. So with the sober living, we can again continue to assist these individuals with being in the sober living homes, continue to offer the outpatient services on site as they continue to work on getting on their feet, getting jobs, being able to be independent.
How many sober living homes do you think you could fit on your 2 acres?
We haven't researched that yet. Again, we're just continuing to assess the need of the community, so I wouldn't be able to confidently answer that at this time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So that is in your plan, though? I mean, it's possible?
It's possible.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to address this issue, now would be the time to step forward. Scotty?
Maybe you can turn off those speakers. Nobody has to listen to them anyway. Getting feedback.
Yeah.
That's why I moved up. I couldn't hear.
Scotty, Mackenzie can try to turn it down. I mean, that's just the outside noise coming from having all the council members
You just
on.
want me to go out
So
there, don't you? You guys need to pass this. You open up this homeless shelter with no help. For most of them over there are going to be drug addicts. At least they will have a place to go, because I heard when I went up there to that place, what a nice place. It's set up good. And they are going to work with that homeless shelter. If you can get a couple of those people off of those opiates and whatever drugs they're on. I'm glad I didn't grow up in this day and age, because 50 years ago I needed help, and I got help. And I've been clean for over 50 years. So some people need some help sometime. Give it to them.
Gerald, you're next.
I feel there are a lot of heroin and crystal meth addicts.
For the record, your name?
Oh, Gerald Ross, Bullhead City.
Gerald, can you get closer to the mic?
Oh. The heroin and crystal meth problem in this city cannot really be handled by this. The only way to really get off of heroin and crystal meth is cold turkey. These people, this continued treatment forever and ever and ever, when does it stop? Or is it just I don't know, give them hugs all the time. I don't see it really helping them. I really don't.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dan?
Good evening. My name is Dan Ayler. My address is 2001 Highway 95 here in Bullhead City. Simultaneously, I can assure each of you, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Bruck, Ms. Ring, Mr. Clark, and those council folks who are attending telephonically, that our concerns are not just for the potential harm that we believe this project could deliver to our companies and to our investments. I can assure you that we have a personal interest from a financial standpoint, just like the applicant is here, because they have a financial interest in this project. Again, it is a for-profit, not a non-profit entity. I believe that the applicant certainly has an entitlement to make a profit with their investment. I can also assure you that equally its neighbors have an entitlement under our capitalist system to make a profit. Our investment in that immediate area is significantly greater than the applicant's investment in the area. But beyond that, I can assure you that our companies, my associates, my partners, interests in this community, I would hope, has been proven to each and every one of you, that it is significantly higher, significantly more sincere, significantly more historical than the applicants. So I am here not only because of our financial interests, but I would hope that every one of you believe that we have a sincere belief in and desire to help the city of Bullhead City, to assist the city of Bullhead City and its residents. And that is why I devote at least 30% of my time. May I have a few more moments?
Go ahead, Dan. Give him another minute.
To various philanthropic endeavors that have direct, immediate, instantaneous, and historical help to this community. You know, I would hope that I am not up here this evening talking to myself, because this is a done deal. You know, I'm a little bit, I guess, upset with this morning's newspaper that says, you know, basically that the city has agreed, city staff has recommended, you've recommended that the facility in effect be approved, and that Revive, who is an entity that has existed for a few months, the applicant, and city representatives are said to have met and come to an accord about various points. I suspect that's not an accurate statement as far as the Mojave Valley News, or at least I certainly would hope that it is not. I would also hope, although I have learned to question, whether or not, for instance, the City Council has even become aware of the various documents, the record that was presented at the 2 prior Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. I tend to believe that perhaps they haven't even been provided to the City Council. I don't know why, but perhaps they have. But I would like, if you would, Mr. Mayor, to present to the City Clerk, for the record and for the potential edification of the council members that are present, not only a few of the exhibits that were passed out to the Planning Commission, but also some additional pictures that show the various high-density properties, the high-density residential properties that were the subject matter of the January 29th Economic Forum for this community.
Yes. Dan, I'm giving you a lot of leeway, but you need to make it quick.
I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. I understand that our time is limited because of the general rules. But I would also like to suggest that based upon the information that has been provided, and Madam Clerk, I want to make sure that one of those are placed in the record of tonight's meeting, but that in accordance with this city's own ordinance, the findings that I believe you are committed by law to make is that the actions of this City Council be shown in specific findings in accordance with 1708-050 subparagraph C, which is the obligation of the Planning Commission. And I would suggest that your obligation is every bit as high as the Planning Commission's. In fact, it is a higher obligation to comply with your findings. That the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the use of the building applied for will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, peace, convenience, comfort, and general welfare of the persons residing or working within the neighborhood, and there are thousands that live within the community, the immediate community of this facility. The highest density area, not only to be developed in the future, but already existing.
Dan, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Let me finish at least reading the ordinance.
Go ahead.
Nor will it be injurious to the property and improvements in the neighborhood or to the general welfare of the city. Where are your specific findings that comply with your own ordinance in that respect? I don't believe they're out there. I haven't seen them. I would suggest and encourage that if you are inclined, as the newspaper basically indicated this morning, to approve a conditional use permit for this project, that it be reduced significantly in size. It doesn't need to be amongst the largest in the state of Arizona for the community of Bullhead City. It also shouldn't be granted for anything close to 6 years. We have heard multiple times at the Planning Commission that we shouldn't be worried, we shouldn't be concerned about the facility. Well, then why should the applicant be concerned about a 2-year certificate of convenience, a 2-year conditional use permit, as opposed to a 6-year? It is not because they have a lease, because it is an internal lease between their own companies, between the owner of the property and the company that the owner and the owner's family has created. There is no basis, and certainly there is no ADA reason why a 2-year conditional use permit, if you are inclined to grant it, should not be delivered. And let them prove to us that it will not be and is not going to be detrimental, not only to our companies that own the surrounding properties and the other folks, the apartments, the RV parks that are within a stone's throw, as are indicated in the exhibits I passed out. But if they mean what they say, 2 years down the track, everything should be fine. And it will be a mallet procedure to process a new conditional use permit at that time. Or don't they mean what they have told us? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Larry?
Good evening, Mayor and Council and City staff. I'm Larry Toonforce, representing MAPT, Mojave Area Partnership Promoting Educated Decisions. I stood here a couple of weeks ago and I explained that I've been involved in drug reduction in Bullhead City since 2007 with the Bullhead City Fire Department, with MSTEP, Mojave Substance Treatment Education Prevention Partnership, and MAPT. And now I'm on the board for WestCare. I showed this book at that time that was created by MAPT that detailed the Mojave County needs assessment regarding substance abuse in Kingman, Bullhead City, Lake Havasu City, and Mojave County. It took an additional 5 years for the Marina Point facility to be open with 10 beds. 10 beds representing all of Mojave County. That was our first, and it still is our only residential substance abuse program in Mojave County, serving 200,000 people. This facility has a 4-foot chain link fence in the front that opens out into a residential neighborhood, and a chain link fence that opens in the back to an alley. There's also a gate at the front. People can walk in and out if they wanted to. No one in the room cared about the fence. No one toured the facility in advance. No one placed their personal worries on Southwest behavior when they opened it. I asked you 2 weeks ago if you guys had ever been there. I also want to tell you you're not alone that you haven't been there, because the police department hasn't been there. In 5 years, they have not been called to that facility for a problem with a resident or patient or resident leaving and creating a problem in the neighborhood. These are facts. These are not feelings. These are not worries. Marina Point is still the only facility serving 200,000+ people in Mojave County. WestCare will open a 16-bed female residential substance abuse program
in April with a door that just opens to the street, also in a residential neighborhood. That would be 10 beds for men and women and 16 beds for females, all serving 200,000 plus residents. Now along comes Revive, and some of the residential experts on the city council that are experts in substance abuse want some special limitations on when family members can visit. They worry about, screening the property that has a nice 5-foot iron fence all the way around it. They want to screen the south and the west that has vacant, undeveloped property. You heard them say 2 of those acres they own. Some of you worry that there's too many beds. Well, they're talking about taking the 16 beds off of the 90 beds. I think the 16 beds should be on top of the 90 beds for the detox center. That would leave 104 beds. I get 5 minutes. No. That would leave 104 beds and 130 total in Mojave County, Laughlin, Needles. Some of you worry that Yuma people will come up here, Flagstaff, Phoenix people will use this facility. Who cares? You worry that their families are going to visit and cause problems. You worry that they're going to leave and they're going to cause problems. You worry that they're going to wander our streets. None of those are substantiated worries. There's no research, there's no facts that says that. Your worries are unfounded. Maybe let the real residential substance abuse program experts open this facility as soon as possible.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff. My name is Mike Borup, and I currently work for Creative Care. I am here tonight on my own volition. I have not been urged to be here. I am here because I feel very strongly in regards to this venture. I am working in the capacity of administrator for the Legacy Rehab and Care Center in Bullhead City. I came to the Legacy in October of 2018. My background mainly has been focused as an operations specialist who has affected immediate and sustained change in systems management, federal and state regulatory compliance, budget management, census growth, and employee retention. The bulk of my career tenure has been as a turnaround specialist for poor performing healthcare and skilled nursing facilities. I have been in healthcare since approximately 1994 and became a licensed nursing home administrator in 1996. At one point in my career, I was approached by an investor to put together a turnkey inpatient drug and alcohol treatment center similar to the one in question this evening, which is still going strong and sits right in the middle of an affluent, very conservative residential area in northern Utah. I wanted to give you a brief history of Creative Care and the individual who started this company that continues to help those who can't help themselves. Dr. John Lingenfelder grew up in the state of Iowa. He served in the Army and later attended Iowa State College. He planned to marry Diana Johansson after he graduated from Iowa State, which, with a degree in agronomy, she was a student at Iowa State at the time, having earlier attended Grandview College in Des Moines, Iowa. After their honeymoon, they moved to the Lingenfelder family farm near Bondurant, Iowa, and started farming. John, however, later determined that his real dream was to go into medicine. After much soul searching and despite 2 small children, they worked together to get him through pre-med and medical school. After graduation from the University of Iowa School of Medicine in 1960, Dr. Lingenfelder and his family moved to Phoenix, where he began his internship at Good Samaritan Hospital. In 1961, John completed his internship, and they moved to Kingman, where he began his general practice of 35 years. Over the years, John and Diana became increasingly aware of the needs for the geriatric population, which led them to the development and ownership of several nursing and residential facilities for the elderly in both Kingman and Bullhead City. These facilities include the Lingenfelder Center for Alzheimer's and Behavior Health, the Gardens Rehab and Care Center, the Gardens Assisted Living, Helen's Place, the Legacy Rehab and Care Center. Dr. Lingenfelder was a man among men. and had the value instilled in him to do the right thing for the right reasons. He worked tirelessly to ensure his residents had all the necessities to be taken care of and for his staff to have everything needed for their individual success. Moving to present day, I remember the night around 7 p.m. I was contacted by the CEO of Creative Care. I was immediately impressed that she had the drive and work ethic to be even...
Let's get to the point, sir.
I presume you will give me the same courtesy you gave the other gentleman.
Well, Larry represented an organization, and Dan Ayler has been very active in our community for many, many things, so I've given both of them leeway. I'll give you another minute or so, but please, let's try and be concise.
I was immediately impressed that she had the drive and work ethic to even be at work at 7 p.m., let alone start an hour-long interview. During this conversation, I came to know Kristen Ott to be the same caliber of individual as her grandfather, Dr. Lingenfelter. Kristen was in need of an administrator for the legacy and flew not only myself, but my wife into the view of the facility in this beautiful town. I have had the opportunity to come into contact with several CEOs, owners, and the like. From the moment I met Kristen, she was engaged, intelligent, and had a firm grasp on what it took to run an excellent company. I immediately desired to become a part of her team. My role in the career, as I mentioned earlier, was to go in and fix poor performing operations. Kristen had been the CEO for a relatively short amount of time, but had a firm grasp on the direction which needed to be taken to develop Creative Care into a premier healthcare provider. It became apparent to me in a very short time that after joining Kristen's team, that I had found the place I wanted to stay for the duration of my career. This company has the culture you normally don't find in our industry. We cut no corners. We provide the best possible care we can, always striving to do better and better each day. Being the entrepreneur and humanitarian that Kristen is, she quickly saw the need for her current project. The city of Bullhead has had a chronic substance abuse issue throughout the years. Every time you read the paper, you see the story after story of those addicted to drugs and/or alcohol and the issues that come from that addiction. In my operational experience, a facility that is being discussed that can assist up to 120 individuals, a number that the professionals with the state licensing board has determined to be safe.
Sir, let's wrap it up, please.
Is needed more than ever. Kristen has ensembled some of the best talent in the substance abuse, mental health arena, and has presented to you, the council, a solid plan that will be the value to those in your community. These people will have an opportunity to change their behaviors, become valued citizens of your community.
Point of order. All right, thank you, sir.
I have just one more sentence, please.
One more sentence.
I can't think of
Point of order.
One more sentence, Steve.
I can't think of any reason why you as stewards of Bullhead City wouldn't embrace this fantastic opportunity and add that Kristen isn't coming for you for money or special considerations that given here in the past. She comes to you with the accomplished business owner and a leader of the community.
Thank you, sir.
Wanting the best for those she serves. Thank you.
And perhaps I should have started out the meeting by saying the call of the public is limited to 3 minutes. I know this is a controversial subject and I've been allowing some leeway, but we need to make it short, concise. A yes or no, a hands up or hands down is also sufficient in many instances. Is there anyone else who would like to address this item? Ma'am or lady in the back. Let's try to limit it to 3 minutes, please.
Good evening. I am Heidi Borup, and I teach first grade at a local school here in Bullhead. And several of my children are displaced because of parents that have addiction problems. And it would be so beneficial if those problems could be resolved and these kids could get back in their home. Not only does it affect their learning now, but it affects their learning later in life. So if the parents are willing to get the help they need, it would be very beneficial to have the help in the families, make the education better. I can only teach them so much. And then if there's no one home to teach these kids, if they're living with grandma who can barely make it, kids need their parents. And if parents are able to get the rehab, get the help they need, it changes their life. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Grace?
Hello, my name is Grace Hecht, and I just wanted to come up here and say that I have gotten to know Kristen Ott for the last several months and have been very active in hopefully helping this pass tonight. I want to thank every single one of the council members that went and took the tour and listened to Kristen. Before coming tonight, I talked to Kristen. I wasn't going to come because of the COVID thing, but then there was a little hiccup with Facebook, so I wanted to make sure that everybody in the public could hear what's going on. Kristen has done everything that you requested on all of the building the fence, giving the hours, all of the different things. So I just want to say thank you to her as well. I know it's been a long journey, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for listening to the public and receiving the emails and all the stories, to Tammy for sharing your story last time. We have someone in our family that's been living with us for 6 months who's struggling with alcoholism, and it's so hard because if he had a place to go here in town, it would be so much easier. But right now it's a huge struggle. And so I would just encourage you, please vote yes for this. It's a huge need in our community and affects many more people than you know. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I see no one else coming to the call to the public on this item, so I will close the public hearing portion of it. Do any city council members have any other comments or questions? Or does staff wish to add anything?
Mayor Brady, one quick comment, and I think Garn could also comment as well. I'm not sure that there needs to be an interpretation of what was in the newspaper other than what came out of the workshop. So policy direction was given to staff at the workshop after the tour, after the council members had viewed it, after they had talked to their attorney, after they had been able to be instructed on the legal issues behind approving or not approving said conditional use permit. And so it's not as if staff is fully recommending and fully agrees with 90 beds or 120 beds or 16 beds that were allowed down the street. We're working within the parameters of the codes that are here. We're working under the advice of our legal counsel, and we're working within the documentation as was submitted by the applicant. So the modifications that were made in good faith between the council, the applicant, and again, those were the extra screening, the on-site security in the evening hours every day of the year, the reduction from 120 to 90 beds, the reduction in time. And so there were questions asked at the workshop on size and scope. I remember Councilmember Clark asking a couple of those in particular. Some of you asked the same things. How do we determine size? How do we determine scope? How do we determine years? Is 2 years better than 5, or is 6 the right number, better than 10? And so it wasn't as if there was some grand negotiation that happened behind the scenes. Everything that was said in the public format of that workshop was put into the conditional use permit and nothing more. Exactly what was talked about in that workshop after you took the tour is what appears in this. And I might add the other thing too, I forgot to mention before, was Councilmember D'Amico wanted that extra wall separation between the detox and the sort of the gathering area. So screening, Councilmember D'Amico's wall, if I can call it that, the reduction in time, the 90 beds, and the on-site security, along with the additional fencing and security that Councilmember Clark brought up. As Mayor Brady said, we've received many phone calls, many emails. There's a great deal of people for and against rehabilitation and the detox center in our community. You all have received many correspondences. People on Facebook right now are saying they're in favor, and there are also people saying they're not in favor. Ultimately, it's up to the policymakers, the 7 of you, to decide if this moves forward.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, maybe Don can answer this for the public. If this is approved, and we know through reports that there's a significant increase in crime in the area, we would be able to later time to pull the continued use permit.
Councilmember D'Amico, we need you to repeat that, and we need Mackenzie to turn you up. That was not audible, at least to us up on the dais.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Try it again, Steve.
My question was, maybe Dawn can answer, if we approve this now and say 2 years from now there's a significant increase in crime in that area, we would be able, and directly contributed by the center, we would be able to pull their conditional use permit at that time?
You understood the question, Toby?
Right. So the question that Councilmember D'Amico asked is, if there were considerable problems or issues, could the city revoke the conditional use permit? I'd prefer if our city attorney would answer that question. I think we all know the answer is yes, it can be reconsidered, but I'd rather have the legal expert on the phone answer that question.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
The conditional use permit, if granted, is granted based upon the staff report and all the conditions and stipulations and facts that have been presented. If that conditional use permit is violated in any material form, then the city on its own volition can bring forward an action to have it reconsidered, which could include having it being revoked or having further restrictions put on it.
Does that answer your question, Steve? I believe it does. All right, any other questions by council? If not, I would entertain a motion. There is no motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make...
Mr. Mayor?
Item is read.
Annette, speak up.
I'm doing the best I can. I would like to make a motion to approve item number 5 as read.
We have a motion to approve item number 5. Do we have a second?
Sheila will second.
What? All right, and Sheila seconded the motion. All right, we have a first and a second to approve item number 5 as read. Are there any other questions or comments? I would like to just explain, I would like to thank Susan Dumont, Elaine Cummings, Michonne Newman, Grace Hecht, Lisa Fitzgerald, Pat Farrell, Brian Turney, and Dusty Yamaguchi, who sent me emails, lengthy emails, talking about why they supported this facility. And we're asking for my yes vote, and I had a couple of people write me with a no vote. I believe this is beneficial for our community, so I'm going to be voting yes. Anyone else? If not, we have a first and a second, then please go ahead and cast your votes.
Vice Mayor Wegman, your vote?
Yes.
Councilmember D'Amico?
Yes.
Councilmember Schutz?
Yes.
He can't vote.
Oh.
Just do roll call.
Councilmember Clark? 6 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
All right, thank you all very much. The motion carried. Let's go back to item number 3. Madam Clerk.
Discussion and possible action to appoint a citizen to serve on the Bullhead Area Transit System Commission to fill a partial term effective immediately upon council approval and expiring on September 30th, 2021.
City Manager.
Mayor Brady, we do have several openings on the BATS Commission, so our city clerk will walk you through that.
Mayor and Council, currently we have 3 vacancies on a 5-member board. And we advertised the position. We received 1 application from Grace Hecht, who I think is still here. And we still have 2 available positions. So we recommend approval.
And we have 1 applicant, and that's Grace. Grace, you want to say anything?
I just want to say thank you, first of all, for approving Revive. But secondly, I'm really excited to serve on the BATS Bus Commission, and I've really enjoyed serving on the Census Commission, so I think that this can be wonderful for our city, and I hope that more people will apply so that we can fill up the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Any questions of Grace? If not, motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we appoint Grace Heck to the BATS Commission.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second to appoint Grace Heck to the BATS Commission. Please cast your vote.
Vice Mayor Wegman?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico? Councilman D'Amico, are you there? Councilmember Schatz?
Yes.
And Councilmember Clark? Yes. All right, well, we don't have a vote from Councilman D'Amico, so it looks like we have 5 in favor and 1 opposed. Motion carries.
Item number 6.
Item number 4.
Oh, excuse me, 4.
Is a public hearing, discussion, and possible action to make a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control to approve the application for a new Series 12 liquor license number 97910 submitted by Juanita Alicia Esparza for the Bonito Guadalajara restaurant located at 1778 Highway 95 in Bullhead City.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Brady. Staff has reviewed and has no objections to the liquor license for the beautiful new restaurant called Bonita Guadalajara across from Safeway in Bullhead City.
Questions of council? It's a public hearing. Anybody like to comment on this liquor license application? No one rises. I will close the public hearing. Council?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve item 4 as read.
Second.
Please cast your vote on item 4.
Vice Mayor Wegman, your vote? We may have lost her. Councilman D'Amico, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Schatz?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
6 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
Not sure why you didn't hear me. I did say yes.
Oh, we can hear you now. Thank you. 7 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
Now item number 6.
Discussion of possible action to approve 1, the final plat for Bel Air Heights, Tract 5017, Unit 1, 2, the primary financial assurance through the property escrow agreement, along with additional assurance through a bond, 3, the water allocation in the amount of 5.04 acre feet, and 4, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, I need to recuse myself from this item. I'm the project manager for this development, and I will step down into the audience in case you have any questions.
City Manager.
Mayor Brady, council members, this is an item that came before the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's the final plat for Bel Air Heights. That's a proposed new subdivision off of the Bullhead Parkway and Landon Drive, just east of Talon Point at the Desert Shores subdivision. The approximate 4.297 acre site will be developed into 15 lots for single-family residential. That item has been laid out in your packet. The financial assurances are in place. Staff recommends your approval.
Do council have any questions or comments on item number 6? No questions, Mark. Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments on item 6?
I would like to have Mark Clark give a disclosure of who's purchasing this property
Sure. Mark,
and
care
what
to answer
country
that?
they're from.
Why don't you give us an overview of the project, too?
Sure. This is a project, it's an infill project. It's in the Desert Shores area in Talon Point, just off the Bullhead Parkway on Landon and Ocotillo roads up there in Desert Shores. It's right across from the Desert Shores School up there. The owners of the property, it's not being sold, it's already owned. The owners of the property are Mexican nationals. They are up here from Mexico City. They bought a number of parcels in Bullhead City and outside the city that they plan to develop. This particular project is approximately 40 acres. Ultimately, it's going to have 153 homes, single-family homes. These will be ranging in size from approximately 1,750 square feet to 2,400 square feet. They'll have 2- and 3-car garages with them. So it'll be a really nice development. This is just for the first phase of that development, which will be 15 lots. They will be putting up 1 to 3 or 4 model homes in this development. And then the second phase is approximately 22 lots. The third phase is a 40-some lots. And the fifth phase is the final 60-some lots. And it'll be built over a number of years. So we'll just see what how the market works.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Billy?
On this proposition, the question I have is says a condominium plat. How do these single-family residences, how do those relate to a condominium?
Billy, that's the next item. So this item is single-family residential.
This is item 6, Billy.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Any other questions or comments by the public? Not, I will close the call to the public. Council, what's your pleasure on item 6?
Mr. Mayor, we are in short supply of rentals and single-family homes. I don't think it really matters where they're from as long as they're building them, because we need the housing here. So I'm going to move to approve item 6 as read.
Second.
First and a second to approve 6. Please vote.
Vice Mayor Wegman, your vote?
Yes.
Councilmember D'Amico, your vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Schatz?
Yes.
6 in favor of the motion and 1 abstention. Motion carries.
7.
Discussion and possible action to approve the preliminary condominium plat for a project known as City Square Unit 2, Tract 5097, for a parcel of land that is described as Parcel 2 of the amended parcel plat for Bullhead Square, Section 23, Township 20 North, Range 22 West, Bullhead City.
City Manager.
Mayor Brady, council members, you're pretty much aware of this project already. This is the old Kmart building. And so this will be a condominium plat to allow for the redevelopment of the former Kmart building. You'll see in your packet, it's a preliminary condominium plat for a project known as City Square Unit 2. And essentially, we've been working with the developer and some prospective folks who are willing to redevelop the former Kmart building, and we are happy to answer any questions you may have about this particular item. Our planning manager, Johnny Laura, is on the phone if there are any specific questions about this particular item.
This is not a condominium as a condominium housing project, and I think the purpose has been spilled.
It has.
It's kind of been under wraps. So you care to explain
I'm
all of that?
happy to, without getting into too many specificities, is the fact that you're right. When people hear condominium, they think it's going to be high-rise with 60 units or something. No, that's a zoning term. It will be climate-controlled indoor storage, which is desperately needed in our community with our climate. So it's a great reuse and a repurpose of the Kmart building. That will be the majority of the building, and then there will be some additional add-ons to the building for retail. As most people know, the City Square development with Ashley Furniture, Smart and Final, Hobby Lobby, it's really been a great redevelopment for the community of some very old antiquated buildings. This will be the final part of that redevelopment, so we're very happy with the developers who are from all over the country who are investing in this particular project.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? From the audience, anyone? No one rises. I'll close the call to the public.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we approve item 7 as presented.
Second.
Annette seconded the motion, so we have a first and a second to approve item 7. Please cast your votes.
Vice Mayor Wegman, your vote?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
Councilmember Schatz?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
7 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
Item number 8.
Discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2020 R14 supporting the proposed Bureau of Land Management Wildboro Management Plan in and near the Black Mountain Herd Management Area.
City Manager.
Mayor Brady, council members, we've been talking about the wild burros here for many years as we've had a multitude of accidents on the parkway. We've sort of been dealing with the burro problem now for quite a few years. The BLM estimates the herd to be more than 2,200 in a target area that's supposed to have less than 500. Quite honestly, we believe that there are way more than 2,200 burros in the Black Mountains. We believe that number is considerably higher. Right now, there's an environmental assessment and a public opinion process that is open and available that anyone from the public can view the proposed action, videos, drones, maps, and make comments. This is an actual resolution, if approved by the council tonight, would support the EA, support fertility controls, and ultimately promote the reduction of the burro herd in the Black Mountains. Now, no one is suggesting anything other than adoption, fertility, and gatherings. This resolution simply supports the EA, the fertility controls, and the ultimate reduction of the burro herd.
Any comments or questions by council? Anyone from the audience? A motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve item 8 as presented.
Second.
Cast your vote on item 8.
Vice Mayor Wegman?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
Councilmember Schatz?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
7 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
Number 9.
Discussion of possible action regarding placing "In God We Trust" signage in city facilities.
City Manager.
Mayor Brady, council members, at the last meeting, Bill and Dr. Leah Coulter presented items and information in a packet to the council requesting the council consider placing "In God We Trust" in this facility and other city facilities. This item has been discussed at other local government agencies. It's on the council's agenda for discussion and action. Staff has no recommendation for you. Really, I'm looking for some guidance from council as to how you'd like to proceed in this matter. You can table it, you can give direction, whatever you'd like to do this evening.
What's council's pleasure? Anyone?
Mr.
Kathy?
Mayor, I move that we table this item for future.
Second.
Annette, did you say something?
I second that.
We have a first and a second to table this item.
And Mayor Brady, considering the circumstances of the situation we're in, if council tables it, same thing as I suggested before, in our state of emergency, I can certainly reach out to you individually and seek comment and guidance. If any of you want to send me an email, again, keep in mind that that's a public document, but email me your suggestions as to if you'd like to see that in this council chambers. I'll put it on the next agenda when we meet and have more of a format and formula. If there's strong feelings, just please let me know about this facility or any other facilities.
With that being said, we have a motion and a second to table the item. Let's go ahead and vote on it.
Vice Mayor Wegman?
Yes.
Councilmember D'Amico?
Steve?
Your vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Schutz?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
7 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
10.
Discussion of possible action to approve the mid-year budget adjustment of $237,688 from General Fund Contingency and Court Department to funds and departments as outlined in the summary.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Brady. Council members, this is a mid-year budget adjustment. Some of it's a paper adjustment. $71,000 is also a paper adjustment, but it does have an impact on the general fund. $71,021 was expended from our HERF account to build the shooting range that the police department will be utilizing, which was part of an agreement we had with the range out in Fort Mojave, Mojave Valley. The right thing to do for us is make sure that the general fund pays for that, not our gas taxes, so that while it's a paper adjustment in our budget process, it does move $71,021 from our general fund, not from our HERF fund. The other dollars here are for our Veterans Court. As we developed our budget last April and May, it was unknown of whether or not we would get the federal appropriation, the federal grant, a sizable federal grant to fund the Veterans Court. We did get that grant, and so this is a budget transfer so that the Veterans Court is appropriately coming out of that grant.
Questions of City Manager Cotter? No questions from council. Any questions or comments from the audience? No questions or comments from the audience. Council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wegman here. I would like to approve item number 10 as read.
Second.
First and a second to approve item 10. Please vote.
Vice Mayor Wegman?
Yes.
Councilmember D'Amico?
Yes.
Councilmember Schutz?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
7 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
Item 11.
Discussion possible action to adopt resolution number 2020 R15 declaring an emergency in order to combat COVID-19.
City Manager.
Mayor Brady, council members, as I explained in depth earlier in my manager's report, the coronavirus, or as it's known, COVID-19, is going to have a significant impact on our community, potentially. All of the experts at the state and federal levels are telling us that it could have a dramatic impact on us. We're here to report tonight that it has not yet been confirmed that there's a case in Mojave County. But as I said before, we cannot be naive to think that the considerations of this, including the fact if the pandemic never hit here, the fact that 8,000 people are not working for the next 30 days at in our tourism business, and more that'll be impacted over the next 30 days. Children are not in school. There's widespread shortages of water, diapers, formula, and other food necessities. These are the times when government pulls together and helps its citizens. In the bureaucratic processes that we live in, declarations of emergency sometimes are a paper process. And the reason that they're a paper process is because once we declare the emergency, we can ask the state and federal government for help and money and resources, whatever that may be. So, in fact, if it's baby formula, we can make that request. If it's masks and gowns for the hospital, we can make that request. So those are the things that are on our mind, and those are the things that good government does to protect its citizens. And as I said before, I hope and pray that we look back in June and say that this was an overreaction. However, if we are hit with this strain of virus and we do need this resolution, we need the support of the state and federal government when it comes to financial and resources. So this declaration gives us that paper process to request those finances and resources. Chief Williamson and I have been through one of these before, here when we had flooding back in 2010. I've personally been involved in 2 other federally declared emergencies in my time in Wisconsin. It's a very precise process, and FEMA gets involved, and FEMA looks at the money you've spent and the resources that have been dedicated to this. And so as we activate our incident command, as we go through this process, this is one of the steps that we must do, and I request your approval.
Questions of our city manager? Questions or comments from the audience? Royanne?
Mayor and council members, Royanne Ortiz. I have a question of Toby. I didn't have enough time to read this. So my question is, by doing this resolution, what type of increased authority does this give the city over its citizens?
There is some additional authority granted under state law and in the city code. For example, if Mayor Brady decided to issue a curfew, he could. If the city manager needed to spend resources to find baby formula or apply for a grant, as an example, to work with the food bank to provide water to our citizens. It provides some of the flexibility outside of our normal procurement, out of our normal processes. Keep in mind, everything we do will be under your microscope. Every decision that we make is subject to yours and everyone who's watching, subject to what they believe we did as an overreaction or an underreaction. So, for example, while other cities may say no more serving food in restaurants, we haven't done that yet.
But you could, under this resolution, you could actually close down a private business.
That is something that is being done by mayors and councils and managers
I don't care
across
what
the
they're doing
country.
about other cities and their violation of the right of businesses. I don't care about that. They probably have sick people in their area that are doing this, and then it's appropriate.
So we're not going to meet again in April, and we're having full disclosure with you tonight and all the citizens tonight that we are under the threat of the COVID-19 virus. Someone died in Vegas, 50 more people today in LA, 100 and some so far have been tested positive in our state. It's not here yet. I agree with you. But we are not going to sit back and do nothing. If we need the help of the federal government tomorrow or the next day or the next day, this allows us that help. So it's not as much what we will do, because I think you can trust this city council to do what's fair and balanced because they've earned your trust. I think what's more important is we need the state and federal government to help us if we find ourselves in a position like Seattle.
Well, I mean, look at what you're doing now. I got told I couldn't touch anybody. I don't like that.
We are following what our CDC has told us to do, and we're doing it out of every
You're trusting
precaution
the
we
federal
can.
government. Thank you.
President
That's all I
Trump
need to
today
know.
is the one who told us to trust the federal government, so we're trusting our president as well.
Well, you know, I can see all this for hot spots. If you got a hot spot, this is pretty drastic, I think.
Thank you.
But then, you know, you're the one that's going to face the consequences. There's 4 seats up for election, so thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Stephen Lee, Bullhead City. I realize you guys have tough choices to make here. I would really hope that we try and keep things local. FEMA has shown time and time again that it is not a trustworthy organization when it comes to disasters in terms of upholding the Constitution, treating people fairly and with dignity. I don't think we know the whole answer of what's going on here. This could be a bioweapon, but regardless of what it is or it isn't, if what we're being told by the federal government is correct, then we've got an at-risk population, which we have a high percentage of in Bullhead City, of elderly people with heart conditions and lung conditions that are at significant risk. It would seem to make sense on a federal level and on a local level to only shut down things that are putting the at-risk group at risk. And for those who this, if we're being told the truth, is nothing worse than the flu, and even less so in 85% of the cases, allegedly, it doesn't make sense to shut down and ruin our economy, shut down local businesses, many of whom nationwide and locally may never recover from this. And can the federal government bail out everybody, every industry, every restaurant, every business of every kind that we shut down? I mean, this is going to be disastrous in my opinion. I'm not saying that something doesn't need to be done, but I would request of Toby, the city council, and the mayor that we at least have, as citizens, some input on this, and that we don't get told tonight, well, you know what, we're going to pass this resolution, we're going to hand everything over to FEMA, we're going to meet behind closed doors, and you're all going to live by the decisions that are made by both you guys and the federal government and FEMA. Thank you very much.
Gary?
Gary Genovese, longtime resident, 39 years, Bullhead City. Very impressed with Chili's the other evening when I went there. They, wait staff, informed us that they sanitize their hands after every table has been set and served. The tables, when the people leave, have been sanitized as well, the chairs and all. And the thing that really impressed me was their menus are sanitized every single time they are touched by either the wait staff or the general public. That, I feel, could be some sort of information disseminated to the general public to maybe follow suit what Chili's is doing. Maybe practical or impractical. They have plasticized menus, so therefore they can sanitize those things, but paper menus probably wouldn't work too well. But they are making a significant impact in the prevention of this spread, and I feel they could be held up as an example for a progressive way to attack this problem. Thank you.
Anyone else? Eva? Wait.
Eva Corbett, Bullhead City. I feel that we're pretty safe here in Bullhead City. That's my feeling and my faith in God. But also, if we shut down our parks, are we going to shut down the parks? Is that confirmed that we're not going to shut them down?
We are not planning on shutting down the parks, but we have the ability to do so if we think it's in the best interest of the health of our community. But we have no intention of doing that. Let me just say that we are not health professionals. The federal government has got the CDC, the state has got a state health director, the county has got a county health director. We don't have a health director in the city. I can guarantee you that this mayor has no intentions of shutting down any businesses whatsoever, but I also believe that that might come down from a higher authority, and we'll have to comply with it. We realize the imposition and the hardships that this will cause so many of the businesses in our community, and I'm very fearful of what's going to happen to many of these business owners who are operating on a shoestring budget or are in danger of folding. So it's only going to be at a last resort that we would ever take any actions that would be done above and beyond what the state is doing, with the health professionals there knowing more than we do about what's going on. And they've got immediate access to the information that's there. So please don't think that your Bullhead City Council or your mayor or your city administration is going to do something draconian such as this. It's more than likely going to be coming from, it will likely come from a higher authority than us.
Okay, let me get this straight. You guys are saying that because we want money from the federal government and the state government, that we are going to be restricted in our city. Is that correct?
No, I'm saying that the federal government or the state government can take these actions with or without our consent. Correct?
Correct. So for
Just
example,
like they closed down the schools. The local school board came out last week saying the schools were going to be open, and the next day the governor declared that all the schools in the state were going to be closed. The school board is a local taxing jurisdiction. They're just like the city council, the city. The state overrode what the school board wanted to do.
I understand we're a government, and I understand you follow the laws, but I'm just asking that can we wait for asking for money at this time?
yeah, we can't. I mean, the honest answer is we need water in this community right now. I need to find water. I need to find baby formula for this community. That's a problem.
And that comes through FEMA, is that correct?
It can come through a multitude of agencies and a multitude of arrangements, but we need some flexibility to start doing that right now.
Well, I'm against it. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, then I will. Scotty, you have something?
Tell your grandchildren to keep us from the virus. You guys have no choice but to pass this. You're going to be one step ahead. Thank you, Toby, for doing this. And you've done it before, I guess. You just said so. You got to have 1 foot ahead of you. Look what happened in Italy. They didn't do a damn thing, and how many people have died there? I think we got a worse problem. That's just a plain old flu.
Anyone else? Billy?
Billy Pershing. I'd just like to say that I support this type of resolution because I've attended a lot of these meetings, and I have a lot of trust in Mayor Brady and the rest of the council that they aren't going to do anything unless it's absolutely necessary, comes down to a critical situation where things have to be done. This will give them the ability to take action. That's what I...
Thank you, Billy. Anyone else? All right, I will close the call to the public. This is item number 11. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move to, I want to make a comment before I make this motion. This is very serious. Some of you don't realize it is. It is very, very serious. I have a client buzzing me right now. She's staying over at one of the casinos. She goes, we're getting out Thursday. I have nowhere to go. Her house hasn't closed. There's 8,000 people out of work. People are dying. This is serious. So with that, I move to approve item 11 as read.
Second.
Second.
We have a first and a lot of seconds. Please cast your vote.
Vice Mayor Wegman?
Yes.
Councilmember D'Amico?
Yes.
Councilmember Schatz?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
7 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
You know, and that's just another example of the repercussions. If the casinos close down, there's a lot of people that live in those casinos. Are they now going to be looking for places to stay, and is our homeless population going to grow? These are the things that we're looking at on a daily basis. Whenever a decision is made to do something, what are the repercussions that are going to just explode through our community? And we're trying to anticipate all of that and be ahead of that. Passing this emergency declaration is one of those tools that will help us in the future. So let's move on to the last item, and that's item number 12.
Discussion and possible action to cancel 2 regularly scheduled city council meetings to be held on Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, and Tuesday, April 21st, 2020.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Brady. Council members, as we've talked about multiple times, the CDC has recommended that we not have group meetings of more than 50 on Sunday, but now they've lowered that to 10 people. It's my recommendation in this motion that you cancel, which you can by ordinance, you can cancel or reschedule any regular or special meeting of the council. The Attorney General has come out with some guidance that meetings, and we can have an emergency meeting via phone, notify the public if need be. Looking at our calendar for April, we can in fact cancel both meetings. We will need a meeting in May to have some budget workshops and adopt a budget. So if we're still battling this problem in May, we're going to have to find a scenario through technology and social media and websites and such to do that. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let's hope we can come back in May. But for right now, our recommendation is to cancel both of those meetings in April.
Do council have any comments or questions regarding item 12? If not, then we'll open it to Eva.
Does that also mean that our commission meeting in April will be canceled?
So the commission meetings do not require council action the staff and the staff liaison can just work with the chairman to cancel that meeting. At this point in time, we have not canceled all the commission meetings, but most likely based on the guidance here tonight, they will be.
Thank you.
Stephen?
Thank you. In lieu of canceling the meetings, can't they be held telephonically with, I'm sure there's technology available, you know, like gotomeeting.com or something like that, where you guys could have meetings without putting anybody at risk and letting the public hear what's going on, stay informed, and be able to speak just like we would be here and address the mayor, the council, and the city manager.
City Manager, would you care to comment on that?
We've considered the upcoming items in April, and we can forego those items and take those items up in May. If there is the necessity, the need to have a meeting, we will be doing it via some sort of technology. We don't foresee that need in April. We will have that need in May, so if we cannot congregate as a group, we will have to use technology. From a citizen standpoint, all the council emails are available online. Send them emails, call them on their phone lines, get on our city Facebook page. We have hundreds of comments just from today and yesterday. We read all of it. So just because we're not in this room doesn't mean we're not connected to all of you. We are.
Well, I still think we're in dealing with something here that is unprecedented in the lifetime of anyone alive. You know, the amount being exercised here by government, and I would hope at least our local government would be answerable to us in this time, answerable to us publicly, to let us know what's going on and let us have some input and say on what actions they're taking in a public forum. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Mayor?
Yes.
This is Garn. Can I say something?
Who is that?
It's Garn. We need to
Garn,
turn him
go
up
ahead,
a little
Garn.
bit.
The microphone is being turned off for you now.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd just like to reiterate to the council and to the public that there's no provision in law right now to go by public meeting. What we're talking about here is possibly providing for ways for elected officials to meet just as they have tonight and to accommodate people who would like to potentially have some electronic input. But right now, there's no provision in the law. We're not going to be able to shut the public out and have just electronic meetings where people cannot have input. I'd just like to put that out right there right now, that the law doesn't provide for that. Even there's only provides for that in extreme emergencies, and even then, the council has to go back and ratify those actions in public if there's an extreme emergency. Just want to put that out there.
Thank you, Garn. Anyone else? All right, I'll close the call to the public. On this item, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve item 12 as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second, and I would also like to add, because of what we experienced here today, can we put something in the budget so that we can conduct a meeting such as this with a little more clarity?
We definitely need it. We've had this before. We apologize to the public and to the council. It's a conference call that we are using today. That's not the best technology. There's certainly better technology that we'll have. We'll certainly have that available. And in fact, there were even some of the technology companies that were sending us emails today about how to hold meetings in the future if technology becomes the only way we can do it.
All right, but we have a first and a second to approve this item, so let's now vote.
Vice Mayor Wegman.
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico.
Yes.
Councilmember Schatz. Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Schatz, are you there? 6 in favor of the motion. Motion carries.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last item on tonight's City Council. I wish you all a safe and coming month. Please try to do everything you can to stop the spread of this virus. Good evening.
Thank you.